guys, it's Edwin here, and today I'd like to share with you on why we ignore red flags in relationships. When we think of relationships, we see ourselves enjoying quality time with our partners, cuddling, smiling, laughing, strolling by the beach, and those fantasies of happily ever after. But we then find out that the reality and the thoughts we had are two different things. When that love of our life or that soulmate ends up being what we least expected. You may now find yourself like deeply entrapped in an abusive relationship, and some of the questions you may ask yourself are things like this: how did I get here? Or how could I not see that coming? When that relationship you thought was until death do you apart turns out to be toxic, you even start having flashbacks on things you might have overlooked and things you ignored early on in that relationship. Red flags are just early warning signs or indicators that a relationship is going to turn toxic. Of course, all toxic relationships have a beginning, and some may display early warning signs which we mostly ignore or we may not be aware of. For instance, take a relationship where like your partner is so secretive and displays some habits like excessive control, extreme jealousy, which of course you're not comfortable with. What we mostly do is we choose to ignore what's happening in the relationship presently, and we might even find ourselves rationalizing that you will resolve those issues later on in the relationship. And of course, the more we rationalize those signs you're not comfortable with, the more they will start showing up more, the more someone will start doing the more. You might even find yourself like doing a quick Google search on some of the red flags, and then you find out that your partner has some narcissistic traits, but you will still find yourself ignoring it, or even ignoring them, or just rationalizing them for the sake of keeping that relationship together. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the common reasons why you ignore red flags. The main reason why we ignore red flags in relationship is the trap of potential. How many times have you quietly told yourself that your prospective date or partner has the potential to be the kind of man or woman you want? Some of your close friends and even family may have even told you of how the guy or the girl you are dating has great potential, so you should not blow the chance away. Potential is a dangerous thing, as it will keep your eyes glued to the future you will have with your partner instead of looking at what's happening in the present moment. If you cannot take someone as they are currently, then there is no need to stay in that relationship. You see, like one thing about the future is we will never know if our partner will change, or we will never know if our partner will keep the behavior they are displaying presently. The trap of potential is the main reason why people ignore red flags, because they hope that things will work out in their favor or their partner will change their behaviors. Yes, nobody is perfect, but it's good to be firm on what you cannot tolerate in a relationship, and only that will keep you away from waiting for things you're not in control of. If you choose to invest in a relationship based on potential, you should know that it may not turn out as you envision, and it may swing on the other direction where like your partner does not change. Potential is an illusion, and the earlier you realize it, the better. So date someone or be in a relationship for who they are now and not who they will be in an unforeseen future. And that would really mean that you will not ignore any red flags. Another main reason why people choose to ignore red flags is feeling of investment in that relationship. Any relationship is just like a normal investment, because because you've invested your time, energies, money, and you care so much for its growth. Children, family home, common friends, shared amenities, shared hobbies are also other examples of investment in a relationship. Someone may choose to turn a blind eye on the red flags because they think about those investments they've made in a relationship. Like, you cannot imagine yourself losing the things you've invested, let's say for the past 5 years, 6 years, or whatever number of years in that relationship. So someone may choose to either rationalize the red flags or plainly act as if they've not seen anything. They might have seen some weird messages or weird conversations, or they might have been called names and abused, but someone will really look at the investment and choose to ignore the red flags in that relationship because they cannot imagine themselves losing that investment or starting over or reinvesting in another relationship. This feeling of investment in a relationship is what may push someone to the point of it's a do or die kind of effort in the relationship. It's more like I either die in this relationship, but I'm not leaving because I've invested so much. Another reason why people ignore red flags in relationships is fear of the truth. They say like truth will set you free, but I think they forget something else. Truth will painfully set you free. We may choose to ignore red flags because we may be afraid of the consequences which will come about if we question our partners or if we question our partners on on the behavior they are displaying or on the red flags you've seen. For example, you may plainly have enough evidence that your partner is having an affair, but you may choose to ignore because of the consequences, like because the consequences may include something like a painful divorce process, your friends finding out of your failed marriage, your church finding that you are not in a happy home, or your children finding out about your cheating spouse. You see, like something about the truth is once we know the truth of that relationship, it will mean an emotionally challenging change in our lives. And no one likes doing those emotionally exhausting things. For the sake of maintaining peace now, you may choose to water down the red flags and even convince yourself that you will be fine living with a cheating partner. You may have thoughts like, what can go wrong? Cheating is just a once in a while thing, and I spend most of the time with them. As long as they are providing for the kids and for the family. That's what you might really tell yourself in your head, and later on, and you might even say like, later on, I'll just find a solution later on, so that you just escape facing the truth of the problem. You might even console yourself that what's happening is not a big deal and you can handle it. That's because you fear the truth, and the consequence of truth is a very, very emotional change in your life. That's why you will choose to ignore all those red flags. Another reason which may make you ignore red flags is you've been manipulated to the point that you cannot trust yourself. Toxic people can be so manipulative to the point that they make you question your sense of reality. They may distort your thoughts and sense of reality through various ways like gaslighting, blame shifting, or just many other forms of verbal abuse. It's a relationship where the more you stay, the more you question your sanity. When you live life at this state, you may find it really hard differentiating between what's true and what's not. And so you may choose to ignore those red flags because you don't trust your own judgments and intuitions. We may even take the opinions of others as truth and not your own opinions. This means that you will ignore red flags because you are not sure if they are red flags. You just tell yourself that maybe I'm seeing my own things. So you will not call out any toxic behavior, you will not call out any undesirable behavior because you feel that you don't know what you're doing because your reality has been distorted. That will make you ignore any red flags. Another reason that will make someone ignore red flags is societal conditioning. I cannot count the number of times I've had this line since I was born. Marriage and relationship is all about perseverance. In a way, it might have a point, but when looked at it closely, it's a trap, which will mean that there are two dynamics in this relationship. There's one who's being oppressed, and there's one who's the oppressor. The oppressed is to persevere in the relationship, but nothing is said about the oppressor. That's how the society has put it. Relationship, marriage in particular, are permanent entities, and nothing should come in the way of making it work. Fed with this narrative, someone will choose to stay in that relationship and ignore any red flags because they've been told that they have to make it work. Even if they've not been told directly, that is how the society views it. Like, make it work, persevere. That level of indoctrination is a very dangerous thing, because someone may choose to be disrespected for the sake of keeping the traditional family unit. One other reason why we ignore red flags is comparison and generalization. Most of the times we compare our current relationship with a friend's relationship or a past relationship. For instance, we may have a friend who's going through, like, sadly, like, who's going through like a physically abusive relationship. So you may find yourself like comparing the relationship you are in with that relationship of your friend. And of course, you'll get thoughts like, at least I have it better, at least I'm not facing physical abuse, at least they're just calling me names, I'm in a better place, because you are comparing with a worse situation. You may even seek advice from friends who will normalize some of the experiences you are going through and tell you it's part of relationship challenges, because all of you there are going through the same emotionally abusive relationships, or the same kind of toxic relationships. So there is no baseline on how a good relationship is supposed to look like. That will mean that you will choose to ignore red flags, because you are comparing your current relationships and the current warning signs you are seeing that relationship with the worst relationships out there. Also, you may ignore these red flags because you are comparing your current relationship with your past abusive relationship. So your baseline is your worst relationship. So of course you will ignore red flags. Here's the thing. Just because everyone is experiencing what you're going through does not mean that you're supposed to go through it. Yes, it may bring about this certain false feeling of comfort, but deep inside, it's not what you want. The experiences of a crowd will cloud your judgment and make you believe that you are in a better place. When your standard becomes the worst, you will ignore and play down all the red flags in a relationship, because you are comparing yourself with the worst. Here's the thing. The best way is ask yourself how you are feeling or how they make you feel. Only that will mean that you will not ignore and you will not compare to someone else. Here's the thing. The main reason we ignore red flags is because we are looking so much into the future of the relationship, into the future we'll have together, into the times we'll spend together, till we even ignore seeing the person for who they are in the present moment. The key takeaway is this: do not ignore or rationalizing the red flags so as to keep things together in that relationship, because that will save you from emotional distress you'll have later on. And as always, if you are in an abusive relationship, the earlier you leave, the better. Always live each day and each night planning your way out. Do not rationalize, do not run away from the truth, because at the end of the day, truth is always there. It never goes away. It's just being clouded by lies and avoidance, but truth is always there. So even if you hide the fact that your partner is abusive, or just for the sake of keeping things together, or just for the sake of your family knowing that you are happy together, you are the one who's feeling the emotional pain deep inside. Even if you mask it, you will still feel the pain. So the best thing is, truth will set you free. Even if it's painful, at least you will be free. That's it from me, guys. So if you'd like, you can share some of the red flags you ignored early on in your relationship, and happy healing.